Hello everyone. Welcome to our spring lamb cookalong. As you can see, we are outside tonight because the evening is beautiful. Last week it was snowing in Sassafras and today it's been really, really gorgeous. We're pretty excited. We've got the barbecue fired up. So welcome everyone. Now I'm sure you're all pretty good with Zoom. Let's just go over it again one more time. Keep your mics on mute during the presentation. We love questions though, so please pop the questions into the chat and I will call them out to the guys as we go along. And also, if you want to toggle your Zoom so that your speaker view, so you've got the screen nice and big, it's just in the top right-hand corner. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll hand you over. See ya.
Hi everybody, my name's Raki. I'm the Executive Chef here at Rochford. Thanks again everyone for joining us. It's really great. We really appreciate your support through all of this. It's a bit wild and crazy, but tonight hopefully it's just a little bit of fun. We're going to do some really great food, some really great wine, and just have a little bit of fun tonight. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit and you'll get something good out of it at the end. Quick shout out to all the people who have joined us before. We've got Alison back, we've got Andrea back, Belinda, Gillian, Katie, Katrina, Lisa, second Lisa, Megsha, Richard, Simon, Sue, and thanks again to all our club members for joining us. The support, we can't thank you guys enough. So quickly before I pass on to Kelly, if everybody can just make sure, if you're outside, barbecue should be on, gas burners all on low with the hood closed down. If you're inside, oven's on, 160, with your fry pans sort of close by and ready to go. And then once we're ready to go, we'll kick things off. But thanks again and look forward to a great night.
Hi everyone, my name's Kelly. I'm part of the winemaking team here at Rochford Wines. Great day here in the Yarra Valley. So we've got twilight, a little bit of wind happening, but it's just glorious here. So thanks for inviting us into your home. We're hopefully going to share with you some great cuisine and some cracking wine. So without further ado, we'll pass back to Raki and get him to get the spring lamb on the road, and then we'll come back to the wines.
All right, so a little bit of housekeeping first. Everybody should have had their hampers out. Hopefully everybody's ticked it off the checklist and you've got all your bits and pieces. What I'll get everyone to do now is to grab the lamb out and we'll just sort of itemize everything. So when we're ready to progress to the next step, we've got everything in line. So we've got our lamb out.
160 degrees fan force.
Yeah. So any 160 to 170, it's not going to make a massive difference. Somewhere around that ballpark's fine. So lamb out, we've got our 2 dough balls ready for main course. For entree, we need to have our yogurt dressing, our zucchini, our dried thyme chili, goat's cheese. It's just some seasoning for that as well. And then for our main course, if we can put together our orange, fennel, salad dressing, radicchio, sumac, and then second to that, we've got the mint as garnish for the lamb and the lamb dressing, which will drizzle over the lamb when that's done. There's also 2 other containers in there, which probably wasn't on the checklist, but they're just add-ons in case we need them along the way. A little bit of olive oil and a little bit of semolina for when we're stretching out our dough balls. We've also got our lavash too. Don't forget the lavash, ready to go for our entree. So what we're going to do first of all is get our lamb ready. The lamb's going to take roughly around 30 to 35 minutes to get ready. So if you can pop your small saucepan or small fry pan just on the stove now and just pop that onto a medium heat with a tablespoon of olive oil in the pan. If you're outside, pop the hood on your barbecue, get one of those burners up to about a medium heat, and then we're going to go ahead and open our lamb up. So while everyone's doing that, just a reminder, this is kind of a 2-man operation tonight, so we'll need one person drinking some wine, checking the lamb, and then the other person can do the bulk of the heavy lifting. So snip open the bag. So everything should be in there already. We've cooked the lamb nicely. So what we've done in preparation for tonight is the lamb was just sealed off. It's been sous vide. So if you're not sure what that is, it's just popped into a bag like this and then cooked in a water bath and we've cooked that at a really even temperature, about 85 degrees, for about 20, 22 hours. And then what that does is just breaks it all down, get some really nice soft meat, and then all we're gonna do now is just give it a really nice char, get some caramelization on there, get get it all warmed back up through either the barbecue or the oven.
What cut
and
of
then,
meat is it, Raki?
pardon?
What cut of meat is
It's
it?
a lamb shoulder. So pop your lamb out, pop it down onto your whatever your cooking apparatus is, and then just give it a nice little seal. Like I said just before, we've already sealed it and pre-sous vide it, so you don't have to go too crazy on the seal. Your oven's going to get all of that caramelization reactivated once it goes through the oven. And if you're on the barbecue, you're just going to get a little bit more depth of flavor, a little bit of smokiness through the flames. And then, so once we've got one side done nicely, we'll flip the other one over, pop that down to a low heat. And if you're at home, if you're inside, pop that into your tray. And then we're just going to pop the lid down on that and get ready to move on to the next thing. So why don't we have a little chat about that first wine, Kelly?
Excellent. You've all been really busy, and I think what's really important now is that we just get a glass of wine in our hand. So I'm just going to open this, and I love sparkling wine. It's one of my favourite styles of wine, and I'm always a little bit surprised when people say, oh, I don't really bother because it's just too fiddly and I don't get it. So opening a bottle of sparkling wine should be relatively simple. So nowadays they have these large tear tabs, so you don't have to find that fiddly little 5x5mm tag. Pop the hood off. First thing I do is thumb on top, so that's safety, and then take that little twist tab, undo it. You can hold it by the neck, nice and firm. Loosen that right off. Now, a lot of people will try and twist the cork off the bottle, but what I do is I hold the cork and then twist the bottom. You get a lot of leverage there. You'll feel the cork ease, like you'll break the seal, and then some people say, should it size, should it just make it pop? And that's a happy sound. That's the best sound in the world as far as I'm concerned. Just have a quick nose of the wine, should be fine. Look at that, glorious. Fantastic foam, good bead, awesome colour. Raki, that's for you, brother.
Thank you very much. And
Okay. We'll go to the entree.
Get onto the entree.
And then I'll come back and bang on about the wine later.
Perfect. Okay, so as we talked about earlier, we've got our yogurt dressing, we've got our zucchini, we've got our goat's cheese, we've got our dried thyme and chili. So it's really simple process to pop this together. Everything in your packs should be perfectly weighed out. So all you'll need to do, now, this is nothing too fancy here. We're just gonna sort of make a nice little light entree just to pair with this beautiful wine. If you're serving guests, you could be a little bit more delicate with it. A little bit of the yogurt dressing into the bottom of the bowl. We pop our zucchini. Into the bowl, just nicely scattered around. Take a little bit of that residual oil and dressing just around the bowl like that. Now the thyme and chili is optional. It's really light on chili, but it's more just to sort of add a little bit of a lift to the dish. So if you're really offended by chili, it's not too bad, but purely up to you guys if you want to pop that in. So then the goat's cheese, we're just going to give that a nice little crumble over the top. Like so. And then just finish that with a little sprinkle of that thyme and chili.
What internal temperature is the target for the lamb?
We're probably looking at around 60 degrees, 60 to 65 degrees. It's already been cooked, so we're not worrying about a doneness so much. We're just making sure that it's hot enough to eat and back up to temperature. So 65 is exactly where we need it to be to get it at a palatable level. So yeah, it's all cooked completely through, so not too much worry about the doneness, but just more, more temperature for eating wise, really. So our dish is done there, ready to go. I think Kelly's got the lavash over there. So there you go.
Thanks, Raki. Looks fantastic, mate. Okay, so that's all looking good. Now, I hear that this lavash has a cult status, and you do this here in the
Absolutely, yeah. So again,
kitchen, yeah?
with all of these, everything we're making in-house, everything's fresh. So in this one, a little bit different to the one that if you guys have done the Pinot and Pasta one. In this one, we've just put some toasted fennel seeds, and we just thought that that sort of
It's going to attack him now.
has a, go for it, has a nice little, helps to complement that dish just a little bit better.
And Kelly, when you're ready to talk about the wine,
Will
someone's
do.
asking about Swallowfield Vineyard, and is it really high up in the Yarra Ranges?
Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to watch me eat now. But I was really keen to try this combination. I guess when it comes to food and wine matching, and this wine I'm really excited about. Its recommended retail price is about $44, so you might think that's a bit spendy, but we absolutely stand by the provenance of this wine. It's from Swallowfield Vineyard. That's in the Upper Yarra Ranges, the Upper Yarra Valley. And it's a really cool site. It's quite high altitude, and it's the southernmost vineyard in the Yarra Valley. So 2017 was a really cool year. So a cool site with a cool year means really attenuated ripening, which is just perfect for sparkling. The Pinot Noir that we use for this is a certain clone which has quite pretty florals as well as red fruits. We harvest this around about the 5th of March. I think you'll find that information on the back label. And the way this was made, it was actually loaded into our press, gently squeezed just to crack the skins, but not to squeeze the juice out of the grape. And that releases a little bit of pigment. And that pigment then sort of sits with that little bit of juice. Most of the juice is still retained in the berries. We left that overnight, and then it was pressed off in the morning. So that gives us that beautiful blush, that fantastic colour.
And what clone was it that's been used?
It was what we call it D-clone. It's D2V5 to be precise. So that's a UC Davis or University of California Davis clone. That's not really that important, but what we like is the tone and the fragrance we get from it. And fairly conventional sparkling winemaking, but this has had substantial time on yeast lees, and yeast autolysis in the bottle, once the bubbles have been made, is a big part of the flavour profile. What I really like about this, and I've had a little taste before, the acidity and the alcohol cuts through the sort of the fat in the yogurt and the cheese. So when it comes to food, in my mind, food and wine pairing, it's about opposites in terms of structure, but maybe similarities in terms of flavour. And the great utility of wine in this instance is it helps cut that fat back in your mouth, like it's a refresher, much like there goes there goes part of the props. Much like a sorbet, so it helps refresh the palate, and you can go at the dish again. I'll pass you on to Raki now.
Actually, just quickly, what blend is the sparkling wine? It's 100% Pinot.
Sorry, it's 100% Pinot Noir, so no Chardonnay in there. And like I said, the site and the climate allows us to sort of have that, I guess you call it heavier variety standing on its own, but still offering a lot of delicacy.
All right, perfect. So what we're going to do now is, if the designated lamb manager, just give your lamb, if you're outside on the barbecue, a little check. We're going to make sure we're just rotating it. If you're in the oven, not so much. We don't have a direct heat source if you're in the oven. So just if you're on the barbecue, if we can just give that lamb a turn. We've been about 8 minutes in now, so we're just sort of starting to see some of that caramelization develop on the outside of the lamb. We're going to start building the flavour profile in that. And then, again, just one really quick turn, pop the lid back down, and rest that again. Let that do its thing for another 10 or so minutes.
And Kelly, another quick question about the wine. Is it full bunch or has it been destemmed?
No, it's traditional, I guess you call it method champenois, method traditional, so it's whole bunches. And that allows what we'd call physiologically less ripe grapes, which have quite hard skins, to, once they're pressed and you crack the skins, the stalks allow the juice to drain freely from the press. So it's definitely whole bunch pressing. Sorry, Raki.
Oh, all good, all good. So, sort of the next phase, what we're going to get started on is getting our dough ready. So really simple flatbread dough. We should have 2 there. The semolina, which we didn't mark, but we mentioned earlier. If we can grab that out now. And if you guys have done the Pinot and Pasta Cookalong, you'll know my feelings towards semolina, quite strong. So we're going to make sure we just give our bench a real, and hopefully you guys are not experiencing some of these tropical cyclone type weather conditions that we've got, but we've got semolina on the bench, we've got our dough, pop the top on
Someone's
that.
just asked if the bubbles can be aged.
As they are in the bottle now, yeah, like wines of high provenance, you could probably get some good serious bottle age out of. Cheaper sparklings, probably just drink them and they are made to be drunk immediately, but you can get some benefit from aging.
All right. So you'll find that, so what's happened is we've made the dough balls really young. And what I mean by that is we've made the dough balls on the day they got delivered to you. So the optimal time that we want the dough rising is about 48 to 72 hours. So we made the dough balls fresh on the day that we delivered them out. So what's happened is in that container over the last couple of days is the dough balls, the yeast is activated, you've got some nice rise in your dough ball, but what might have happened is that the dough has slightly stuck to the container. So we're just going to take our spoon and just gently peel that away from the container.
Is wetting the spoon helping that, Raki?
It's probably going to hinder it.
Oh, okay.
Because what you're going to do is just going to creating a more moist surface on the outside of the dough.
Okay, yeah.
So we want to just lightly ease that out, and then pop that out onto the bench. And then we'll just repeat the process with the second one. Again, just slightly work your spoon around the container. And
How was the zucchini cooked?
the zucchini was char grilled, just really lightly. We've just put some colour on it, kept a little bit of the bite in it, so you've still got sort of that freshness in it, but a little bit more of a robust flavour from the char. We think that works really well just with the balance of the dairy and the yogurt and the goat's cheese, which go through it. So okay, we've got our 2 little dough balls out. Let's give them a flip over, a little bit more semolina. Again, similar to if you're coating or rolling out pasta, the dough ball's only going to absorb so much semolina. It can only take what it can take, and then the rest is just going to fall off. So we want to make sure we've got a really good coating. It's going to help us with a bit more ease of rolling the ball out.
So you can't overdo that.
You can't overdo it.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, cool.
You could pour a handful on there, and it's only going to take so much.
Yeah.
The rest is just going to come off. But you know, you're better to have that excess on there to prevent it sticking. Than not to have it. And also as well, once you're getting it cooked off, we're going to sort of lightly fry that flatbread, and the heat from the oil and the pan is going to really give it a nice crispy texture.
Oh, right,
so we'll have like a layered dimension of flavour. So we've got nice crispy semolina, a little bit of crispy dough, and then it should be nice and pillowy and soft on the inside.
Nutty, great.
So we'll run through 2 methods here. One a little bit more complex, and one just fairly straightforward. So everyone grab their rolling pin. If you don't have your rolling pin, second bottle of wine is gonna do the job if you haven't drunk it already. So
Great kitchen utensil.
yeah, absolutely. It's multi-purpose. So we're just gonna lightly pat that out just to get it into our circle shape. When we're rolling it out, it doesn't really matter what your final shape is. What we're sort of more worried about is the thickness. So around about 3-4 mil, just if you think about 3 credit cards stacked on top of each other, that's
And
sort
we
of.
just had a question about the provenance of the lamb. Where's that come from?
The lamb is from one of our suppliers. It's we do as much as possible like to use local ingredients, but just unfortunately, in the current climate, supply chain issues have been a real issue. So from a company called Gamekeepers, and they've got a bunch of different farms, some of their own, and then some which they outsource. But it's spring lamb. and then we've just got the whole bodies in. We take off what we need for other bits and pieces, and we've just taken all the shoulders off, and then sous vide them down and got them all ready for you guys. So flatbread out, rolling pin / wine bottle, and then we're just gonna really lightly give that a roll. One way, flip it around, roll it out the other way. Again, just a little bit more semolina before you flip it over. One way, rotate, and then the other way.
So shape's not critical, but thickness.
Absolutely, thickness, yeah. What's going to happen is if it's too thin, you're going to end up with like a really over crisp sort of wafer. And if it's too thick, it's going to be doughy and kind of raw in the middle. So yeah, thickness is the key. So with the second one, if you're feeling a bit, you know, like you want to give something new a try, I'll show you guys how to roll it out by hand. So we're just going to lightly press on the dough to get our shape out. And then we're just going to lightly stretch it out so it's roughly about the size of your hand. So inside of your palm to sort of the top knuckle on your finger. Then we're going to grab our 3 fingers on your left hand, or if you're left-handed, on your right hand. Place your hand on top of the dough bowl, stretch it out, fold it up onto the back of your hand, and then flip it over. And then we're just going to repeat that process. Draw the dough out, pull it up onto your hand, and flip it over. Now, it's more the speed of that action which is going to elongate that dough to the shape that we need. So it does take a little bit of practice to get it to where you need it to be. And the dough is quite strong now. It has been, you know, it's about 48 hours old now. It was worked really well in its initial state, so it's got a lot of strength in it. The gluten's been built up, so you can really give that dough.
But there's quite a bit of bounce back.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's had that time, you know, we've made the dough ball, we've kind of balled it up into a shape that it needs to be, but then that 48-hour process just sort of allows everything to relax. It's had its time to strengthen and for it to bond. But now, yeah, it should be nice and relaxed, so it'll have quite a lot of tension, quite a lot of give in it. So 2 dough balls, nicely stretched out. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to let these guys sit for a little bit. Again, we've had a bit of time under tension on them now, so they would have tightened up a little bit. So it's going to let them relax a little bit before we pop them onto the barbecue. If we can just get our lamb manager again, just to give that lamb a little turn, make sure it's getting that nice color that we need. And we should see a little bit more of a change in the lamb from the last time we looked. A little bit more caramelization, and you'll sort of see that that lamb's really starting to soften up now. Because we're using the shoulder cut, it does have quite a lot of you know, fatty connective layering through it. So what's going to happen is as that lamb gets warmer and warmer and warmer, is that connective layers of fat in between the meat, it's going to separate, it's going to heat up, and then what's going to happen is that temperature through the middle is just going to rapidly increase and increase and increase and increase. So we should be getting really close on that now. So pop that down now, and we're probably looking at about another 8 to 10 minutes. So might as well have a chat about that second one.
Excellent. Yeah, look, the lamb chef, it's thirsty work. So I think we need to bring out the 2019 Yarra Valley Syrah. This Syrah came from our home vineyard here around the winery. There's 3 different clones of Syrah that we have, our various ages, some older vines, some younger vines. 2019 was, it started off actually quite cool, but obviously the heat through the summer built, and as we all remember, it got quite hot at the end. Syrah just loves that, so it just sucked it up. What it meant for us is that we got good ripeness, we've got great density of colour and flavours. So easy open for this one, screw top. That's sort of an industry norm now, I guess, in the New World particularly. There's one for you, Raki. I think you should have.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind one of those.
Cheers, bro.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers. And virtual cheers to everyone out there.
Yep. So hopefully you've got this glass in your hand now, and you can see immediately the colour is so vibrant, really, really deep purple. For us, I guess we're a relatively cool climate compared to others like McLaren Vale, Barossa. So it's not a blood and guts Shiraz. And what we like to do with our fruit is let the fruit be king. So in terms of oak handling, it's all old oak. There's no new oak component in this. And we're just relying on the fruit tannins. We also bring in a portion of whole bunches into the ferment, and those whole bunches obviously have the stalks. And the tannin profile in those stalks add a different kind of tannin dimension to the wine. So when you ferment the berries and the skins and the pips and the stalks together, it just gives different aromatics, but also particularly a different tannin dimension to the wine.
We've just had someone ask if Syrah is the French spelling for Shiraz.
Yes. Yes, it's a synonym. We say Syrah. We I guess just want to point to the fact that we just treat Syrah/Shiraz slightly differently from the norm, and we really there are great examples of Shiraz out there with oak dimension to them, but we again just our philosophy is just to let the fruit be king in terms of the wine. So aromatically, it's still really youthful. There's lots of dense fruit there. And just chock-a-block full of flavour. Good tannin, good alcohol. There's an acid line there, and I guess that again speaks to our cooler climate. And that acidity helps drive the wine along. So, all good.
All right, perfect. So we're pretty close now. We've got our bread out. Lamb's looking, we're almost there. We're 3/4 of the way on the lamb. What we're going to do now is get your pan ready for your flatbreads. So we should have a nice large pan, or a pan that's going to fit your flatbread in there nice and easy. If you're on the barbecue, it doesn't really matter too much if we use the flat top or if we use the char grill. If you're out in the barbecue, take your pick. It's purely up to you.
Salad?
Yeah. So once we've got our pan on, we should be looking at around sort of a medium-ish heat to start off with. Get that nice and warm. And then in the meantime, while your pan's warming up, we're just going to start to get our salad ready. So like we talked about earlier, we've got our orange, we've got our fennel, we've got our salad dressing, we've got our radicchio, we've got our sumac, and a little bit of seasoning ready to go. So I'll pass it over to you, Cal.
Excellent.
And you can
Thanks,
pop
Raki.
that together. So what you're looking for when you're putting the salad together, again, with all of the stuff that we've sort of put together, ready to go, everything in the bowl. If there's something that you don't like as much of the other, put a little bit less, put a bit more of something, purely up to you.
Cool.
Again, if you're sort of casually just at home eating the salad, throw everything in there. It's not going to change how it tastes in the end. But if you're sort of, if you were at home and you were sort of entertaining guests and you wanted to make it look a little bit more nice and a little bit more presentable, you could layer it as you're bowling. So build it up, like height your friend when you're making a salad. You want to sort of see the layers of the orange and the fennel and the radicchio, all sort of separately laid on top of each other. But yeah, what you're going to find with this salad, it's going to really marry perfectly with this lamb. We've got some really bitter leaves, we've got some sweet orange, we've got the sort of tart sumac, and then we've just got like a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of sourness from the dressing, which is just a white balsamic, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of olive oil, and just seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper. So whack all of that in there, give it a good stir. You want to make sure that your dressing really coats everything. So with every mouthful, you're kind of getting like a really nice flavour hit with everything.
And just pop the sumac in that too,
Yeah,
like sprinkle that on.
I'd sprinkle a little bit of sumac into the bowl, and then give it a really good mix. And then when you pop it into the bowl, just a little bit of sumac on top. It's going to, visual cues are really, really great thing in dining, and it's going to help lift that dish when you look at it.
Great. Okay, so it's just a light toss, because if I go any harder with that, it'll blow away in the wind.
And where did you get the white balsamic from, Raki?
That's through one of our specialty suppliers. But, most good delis should have white balsamic these days. Depending on where you are located, there are quite a few good ones spread out across Melbourne. But any good sort of
salt, pepper if you choose.
Delicatessen should stock white balsamic. And if you are unsure of where to get it and you really like it, let me know or send Maddie an email and we can try to help you out finding it. Yeah, like with all of the other stuff here, you know, we've sort of made everything available in the shop. So if you want to, you know, jump online, purchase, if you like what you'd had tonight, you know, you can kind of recreate it at home, give it a whirl. But yeah, so everything's, I think, you know, we're still going 7 days a week, delivery within 2 days. So we do our best to sort of get anything to you guys that you need because, you know, you guys have supported us along the way. So we'll do as much as we can to sort of help you guys as well. So our pan should be nice and warm, or our flat top on our barbecue. We're going to grab out the olive oil. And we're just going to pop about a tablespoon of olive oil onto the pan or onto the flat top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn that flat top or the pan onto a high heat and just let that olive oil kind of work its thing. It's going to get nice and hot. It's going to, the pan, we don't want it smoking, but we do want it to get quite close because we want to get that really nice instant heat into that flatbread when we cook it. It's going to help puff it up. And it's going to help get the steam working inside it, so we get it nice and cooked on the middle, and it's not going to be doughy and sort of undercooked on the outside. Cool. So we're going to grab our dough, just rub it into the oil a little bit, straight down. Grab your second one, rub it onto that oil and straight down. It's probably going to take about 1.5 minutes on each side. What you kind of signs you're looking for, you're going to see the flatbread like really start to puff up nicely, and then you'll see some little air pockets because we've got that pan nice and hot. It's going to create some instant steam on the inside and get some separation.
Yep.
So whilst that is on its first side, we're just going to do another little drizzle of olive oil over the second side. So when we flip it, it's going to give that nice little char on that other side as well. And as well, it's going to help, you know, that dough's going to absorb a little of that olive oil and just get a little bit more flavor going on there. Right. Probably if we're on the barbecue too, now's a really good time to sort of just give that lamb a little check. It's looking really good. So if we can just give that a little flip, we should have some nice caramelization on the go there. And if you can sort of see, pull one out, you can sort of see this nice little sort of bubbly texture. Yeah. So that's all of the air pockets that are sort of like getting activated inside there from that heat now. Give it a little flip over. Now, looking at about 1 minute now. So this is the sort of color. If I can flip this one over, just a nice little golden brown, nice and crispy. And then...
Yeah. And so if you want a bit of char, you can just pop it on the
you
grill.
can pop it on the
just
grill.
Give it a bit of char if that's what you dig in terms of flavour.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, just a little bit more complex flavour. Yeah. If you're going on the char grill, a little bit more subtle flavour on the flat top. Well,
the great thing about this experience, I think, is that people are getting these aromas, which is what I'm just drooling on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's you know, I think this is the one that we sort of thought, it's, you know, perfect spring. Yeah. You know, it's going to really match up well with the wines that we had, and you know, get everybody outside for the first time in a little while. I mean, it was a great day today and a perfect day for a barbecue. So, well, look, we're pretty much close to being done. So, what we're going to do now, we've got our flatbreads on. Get our bowl for our lamb ready, and we get our bowl for our flatbread ready. These should be nice and crisp. If you're unsure if the flatbread is done, what you want to do is one of those air pockets, if you just give it a little touch, it'll be really springy, it'll feel really airy, and it'll feel really light.
So it won't stick when you push it down.
It won't stick. If your flatbread feels heavy and it's, you know, sort of not as aerated and bubbly, you probably need to just turn that heat up a little bit just to get a little bit more instant heat inside. But they're looking really nice now, so take those off, pop those down there. Now we should have ready to go for our lamb dressing. So with that, we've just put a little bit of toasted cumin seeds. We've got some honey. We've got a little bit of olive oil, and we've just taken a little bit of the juice from the bag when we cook the lamb. And we've just sort of reduced that all down and just really sort of emulsified those flavors into that oil. There is also a little bit of Chardonnay vinegar in there too, just to sort of add another layer of acidity to help break through that lamb.
And I think that sort of goes back to the balancing, like with wine and food, it's about, for me again, it's like structurally sort of opposites, but flavors similar.
Absolutely.
You know,
like
so
you said
sweet
earlier.
caramel on the meat, you know, that sort of sweet fruits, but then we've got acidity and alcohol, which helps cut the fat. The tannin binds with protein.
That's right.
So it's just about that great exchange between wine and food.
Yeah, it's about getting the harmony right.
Yeah,
So you know, nothing that's sort of going to overcomplicate things, and sort of things that are just going to really work well together. So we should have some really nice crispy lamb here. Perfect.
It's scratching, beautiful.
Put a little bit of that on there. Now, up to you guys. We'll sort of run through how you can eat this in a second, but if you want to make it a little bit easier later, just break up that lamb really nicely, give it a little shred. Then we're just going to grab our lamb dressing.
And where can we buy Chardonnay vinegar from?
Again, any sort of good deli should have it. I'm pretty sure your Woolies will have some sort of Chardonnay vinegar these days. Look, I know they have a lot of good balsamics, so have a look around. But any good deli, you're going to find any of those sorts of things that you need. So yeah, we're just
dressing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's the olive oil, the roasted cumin, the honey, the Chardonnay vinegar.
Yep.
We're just going to give that a nice little drizzle over that. We've got our fresh mint leaves. Just nicely scatter those over the top. And then I would recommend, we have seasoned everything, but I would recommend just a little re-season. What happens when you season something and then you cook it, that salt sort of dissipates quite a fair amount once it's added to heat. So just a nice little quick season, just to liven everything up a little bit. And there we go. We've got our flatbreads, we've got our lamb, we've got our zucchini, lavash, and our beautiful radicchio salad. So once again, just a massive thank you to everybody out there who's supported us along the way, who's booked these hampers. You know, it really means the world to us. And, you know, we're sort of at a crossroads now where we're thinking about what we're going to do next.
Yeah, right.
What's going to happen? Are we going to be open? Are we not going to be open? So what we'd really like everyone to do is, if you could, just, you know, shoot Maddie an email and let her know if you guys like this, if you didn't like it, you know, like if there's anything that you would like to see us do. You know, throw your suggestions out there, and, you know, if we think we can manage to do something in a suitable format, we're going to do it to our best of our abilities. But any feedback we can get, you know, from you guys is just going to, you know,
enhance the experience for everyone.
Yeah. But, you know, this is, you know, we're trying to give you a bit of Rochford in your house, you know, in this tough time, and, you know, the more suggestions, the better. So thank you very much again. I hope you guys enjoyed the night, and hope you guys enjoy your meal.
And look, again, I'd just like to reiterate what Raki said. Just thanks for inviting us into your home, and you know, hope you enjoy the experience and have a great weekend. So thanks for joining us.
And before you guys, sous vide and how that happens.
Yeah, so with the sous vide lamb, and again, I know we had a lot of people who did the previous Pinot the Pinot pasta meal night. So sous vide is a technique we seal whichever protein that we're cooking with, give it a really good seal, and then we put it into a vacuum seal bag. And then you can load that with aromatics. So whatever you know, with the lamb, we had some cumin, we had some no garlic, we had some cumin, we had some salt, some pepper, some rosemary, just all of the flavors that you think will marry well with a certain protein.
And they stay contained.
They stay contained. And what happens is you then submerge that bag into a water bath, and that water bath runs at an exact temperature.
And it can't get any hotter.
It can't
so
get
you
any
can't
hotter,
overdo it.
can't get any colder.
Yep.
So
Beautiful.
what's going to happen is, if you're generally cooking in an oven or if you're cooking in a pot, what you'll notice is if you're sweating something down, is all of the steam and all of the flavor sort of like evaporating into the air.
Yeah.
So you do get quite a lot of loss of that. But in this process, everything's enclosed and contained. So you not only you know, getting the flavors into it, but you're just enhancing the flavors of everything, enhancing the flavor of the lamb, and nothing escapes from the bag, so everything stays in there. So that's why you'll find completely different flavor profile to if you had, you know, cooked it previously in an oven, because you know, we get a lot of people ask, "Whoa, how come that is, you know, so intense in flavor?"
That's how it happens.
That's how you have it. So if you've got any questions in regards to recipes, how it's done, shoot Maddie an email, and I'll work it all out for you guys, and we'll get it sent out as soon as we can. But thank you guys again, and
thanks again.
Cheers,
Raki.
Cheers.
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 Cheers, mate.